If you own property, you pay property taxes. No way around it. Okay? Condominium, you pay property taxes. It's mainly based on the value of your home, but sometimes if there are improvements, you get charged extra. Okay? So here we go. How is this example different than yesterday's? Yesterday's the portion assessment was given. Now you will need to calculate that. So the portion assessed value needs to be calculated. That's the difference there. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have a portioned assessment. We're gonna combine, I don't know if you see it, that there is a price or a value put on the actual land, and there's the home that is worth 245. Very unlikely that you're gonna get that, but we just want to emphasize that we combine those two if they are given separately. So that would be the market value of your home, and we multiply that by 0.45. And if you remember the little map that I got you to do, I got you to scan the QR code, which takes you to the city of Winnipeg. That value you get there is not accurate. It's not like what you would get for your house should you sell it. Probably be more, but it's a baseline. So the bank would say, hey, you paid way more than the price we have on record. We might have to send somebody down, okay, to appraise it. Appraisal is the word you want there. So adding this up gives you 366,000, right? That's the value. You multiply that by 0.45. So we get, right? Sorry, times 0.45. That's 164,700. This is important to us. It's not the answer yet, but that's the number we're going to use to figure out everything else. So if you keep reading, there's a frontage of this house, which is 42 feet. The house is down Redwood here, 25-foot frontage, right? So those properties aren't that wide. There's a municipal mill rate. And there's also an education mill rate. I'm going to give you a warning for the AC that's about to come up. Sometimes, because it doesn't matter if you live in a small town outside the city, it's often more expensive to live there for property taxes because they have fewer people paying for those services that we all pay for in the city, right? Page 70. Anyways, what I wanted to warn you, this is going to come on the AC. Sometimes this mill rate for education is broken down into two mill rates. So they'll say education 1, education 2. Nothing changes. We would calculate it the same way. Okay? I will help you on the AC. I will make sure you understand what's happening. Anyways, so let's figure out the education first. Let's do education tax first. We take the 164,700 and we multiply it by the mill rate. And make sure your mill rate is divided by 1,000. Okay. So the education mill rate is 18.395 over 1,000. It's just like you do your mortgage payment, basically, right? The way you calculate your mortgage payment. Let's park that and calculate that later. The municipal, you take the 164,700. That is the portion assessed value, right? We multiply it by a mill rate. There is a mill rate, which is 12.766. There we go. And we get that answer there. And if you read carefully, there's an improvement in that area. So I just call that improvement. In this case, there's only one. And we need to base it on the frontage of our house times. We need to get, am I giving you that? No. Sometimes I give you the rate. In this case, I don't. So concrete street paving, you go to your pink chart. Concrete street paving, that's $39.32 per foot. $39.32 per foot. We'll calculate that as well. And let's go ahead and do that. I'll just give you the answers, actually. I have them here. So I'll show you one at least. You can't blame me for not showing you, right? So you take that, you multiply by 18.395, divided by 1,000. And some students ask me, hey, aren't you supposed to do what's inside the bracket first? Yes, technically you should, but I know that if you follow bed mass, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this. I don't know if bed mass is even a thing that you heard before, but it's order of operations. Addition and subtraction, if that's the only thing that's happening, it doesn't matter which one you do first. If division and multiplication is happening at the same time, so you have some division here and multiplication, it doesn't matter which one you do first. That's all that's happening. So you can go this times the top number divided by 1,000. That's what I do. 3,029.66 for that one. For this one, you get 2102.56. Right? And this one is 42 times 39.32. This one is 1651.44. Can you imagine that much more on your property tax bill? Now, I don't know if this is only charged to you if it happens on your street. Like everybody that's touching that street pays this, or if it's everybody in that area that pays it. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that it is when it's like right on your, touching your property. Okay. So now we can figure out the total tax. Total, we just add these all up. And don't forget, in this case, there's a credit. If you go way up, it does say $700 credit, right? So I'm going to circle that and it just says subtract. Am I making my point here? Anyway, subtract, make sure you subtract. And the reason I'm doing that is because it happens on the exam. So you do everything is beautiful. It's just like, man, the student knows exactly what he or she's doing, boom, boom, boom. And then at the end, they add the credit. So make sure you subtract that, right? That's your credit. That is what you get back. And that's probably because they didn't use up all the funds last year. So you get some money back, which is always nice, right? And so you get 6,083.66. That is your ultimate amount owing, which is due September 30th if you live in Winnipeg. Different cities have slightly different due dates. But remember, enroll for the TIP program, TIPP, right? And you're good to go. Like they'll take off a monthly amount. You don't have to worry about the bill. Because I think if you don't pay for 3 years, the city is entitled to take the property from you. They can seize it to get their money back, right? So you want to watch out for that. So I would like you to try, this is my game plan right now. If you're done copying this, you go to page 73. You try that question here. Notice this, folks, education taxes are, they tell you what the education taxes are. There's no mill rate, so don't be multiplying this by some number here and get a couple $100,000 worth of property taxes. Don't do that, right? So it's less work actually for you here. And I will give you the answer to 73. This is what you're supposed to get. If you want to quickly write this down, because I'm going to move to a different page in a bit. So page 73, that's what you're supposed to get if you do it right. Once you're done this question, you brush up on amortization tables, because the AC that I'm about to give you will have amortization tables. So you do this, go back and check out amortization tables. And let's say you're super fast, you're done everything, and you want more. When you go to page 74, you're listening, right? Page 74 and 75, those questions deal with property taxes, but look, bottom of 75 has the solutions. Bottom of 75 has the answers to the questions that start on 74. So if you want to do more, you go for it. That's up to you. Okay. So the game plan is do page 73. Make sure you get this answer. Then go check out amortization tables. Okay. So 4 marks all together, okay, for everything that we're going to be covering here. So first, remember this is a blank amortization table, so you need to figure out the payment. And this is how you do it. You take away the down payment, multiply it by a table rate, 4.25 over 20 years is 617, which gives you a payment of $1,048.90 per month. I will make a note of the fact that this gives me $170,000. So I will give you 2 marks if you have the payment done correctly. I know you might think, hey, I spent way more time on the table than on the payment, but that's just how we're going to do it. The unpaid balance here is $170,000 at the beginning, and the equity is $55,000. Okay. These ones I would expect you getting this right. You just plug in the number you calculated earlier, right? Your payment goes in here. No marks awarded for this, really. It's these boxes that follow here that will make a difference. So if you take 170 multiplied by the interest rate, which is 0.0425, divided by 12, you get 602.08. Okay. For the next one, for principal, right, you just subtract these two, you get 446.82, which will then bring down the unpaid balance, and that ends up being 169,553.18, right? That's the number we want in there. And this goes up by that amount. So we will go up by 446.82. If you have this all correct, the first row is correct, you get 1 mark already. One mistake, like let's say you make a mistake right at the beginning here. I take off half and then follow through with the rest and just still give you half a mark there. And then next you take your next unpaid balance, you repeat the process. This one gets you $600.50, which in turn gives you 448 which then brings this down to 169,104.78, which brings your equity up 500 to 55,895.22. So this is also, you know what? Let's change this. We're gonna make this the first row. We're gonna make that worth 2 marks. Here's the kicker though. If you make a mistake on the interest, I would take off a full mark. You get 1 out of 2, because this is the more important. This is the most important number to figure out, right? If you get this wrong, everything will be wrong. So 2 marks and 2 marks. So obviously, if you make a mistake up here, everything is going to be different, right? So we would assume today that you get 3 out of 4. If all you made a mistake on is this first number here, you get 3 out of 4 just for the table. So 2 marks and 2 marks. So we will make this finding the payment worth 2 as well. So 2, 4, 6. Get rid of this 4 here and just make the whole question worth 6 marks. 2 for the payment, 2 for the first row, 2 for the next row. So you get a mark out of 6. Curious to see how you did there. Moving on. But remember, if this had been a partially filled in, so let's say I just go in there and I cover things up, right? You should be able to just subtract to figure out that, or let's say I cover up the principal and the interest, like that's blank, you'd have to subtract the unpaid balances to get the principal, which then gives you the interest, right? So remember that. Next, this one. Side, side, side is cosine law. In particular, you want to be using this formula. Cosine of the angle. And I always told you to put down the side that's across the angle you want first, but it comes over here subtracting, right? Then you take the other 2 sides. It's been a while, right? So this is what's supposed to happen there. 2 times 1.2 times 1.7. I would give you a mark if I see this. If the values are where they're supposed to be, all of that, a mark, okay? If you compute the top part, you get minus 1.92. If you compute the bottom separately, which I would strongly suggest, you get 4.08. Don't round here. Don't round, okay? Next step. Angle X is cosine inverse of, if you subdivide this, you get negative 0.4705, and that keeps going. And so you get an obtuse angle, which is what you expected, of 118.07 degrees. So I will give you 1 mark for the first line, 1 mark for work in between, and 1 mark for the final answer. So if this is an acute angle, it probably means you missed the negative, so that'd be a -1. So 6 and 3, that gets us to 9 for this page. I would really, on the test, if it ever should happen, I would like to see the inverse here taken. Okay, backside. I might just show you this one. So I wanna, oh, where did my key go? This one. Ready? So here we go. So you already have your portioned assessed value. So you just take the first mill rate divided by 1,000. You get this. You get a mark for that. That would be the municipal tax. Next, I take my second mill rate there. I get this value, 1521.90. I do it one more time for that third mill rate. You get that. You get a mark for that. Then the improvement is 45 feet times 1154, which is what we pay for water main repair, which is 519.30. One mark. So everything gets a mark. Every line gets a mark. And then this is your final answer. There are no credits, so no need to subtract, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 marks for that backside. And if you did a variation, you figured out a different way. There are various ways. Especially here, I didn't ask you to give me each individual. So whatever works for you is okay. So 5 for the backside, and I give you 9 for the front. So that would be a total of 14. I'm just going to turn this 11 into 14. Okay. Don't hand this one in. I'm going to let you keep it. Now you know you're ready for tomorrow for this part. I hope at least. Okay, grab your booklets. You just grab your booklets, and I'm just going to get you to go to the very back page here. The very back, we're going to use that up. If you used it for something else, you find a different blank page. That's fine. I'll tell you what to prepare for. This is also already looking at the test, right? Booklets? Booklets? So GDSR, remember that was the very first thing we did. Gross debt service ratio. You need to be able to calculate that, maybe explain some things about it, and the magic number is 32%. You want to be below that, right? Above it, it means that your housing costs would be too much. So you're overburdened with debt, so they don't want that. So you would be approved. You should be able to tell me, how can I lower my GDSR if I really still want that house in that price range? You need to tell me that, okay? Insurance. There's that one formula, right? But we have tenant versus owner. Okay? You need to be able to explain things like, right? How do I get a discount? What affects, right? Affects premium. What goes into calculating my insurance premium, right? What would affect it, either going up or down, right? So you need to be able to say that. You need to be able to understand deductible. What is deductible? So just kind of scan through it so you're ready for it. There's that one big formula, which you should all hopefully have on your study sheet. Mortgages. You need to know, right, how to figure out the payment, how to figure out lowercase I, lowercase p, total interest paid for the life of the mortgage. How can you lower, right? How can you lower total interest? Maybe just want to lower the payment, right? So I will go or here. TI or payment. Doesn't look right. Let me just do it again. Total interest, well, you want to pay it off faster. That's the goal here. So either reduce the time, make extra payment, put an extra down payment, whatever it takes to pay it off faster. That's the goal. If you want to lower your payment, take longer to pay off actually, right? You want to take longer to pay off to decrease that payment so you have more cash left over at the end of the month. Amortization tables. This is for the test already. Amortization tables. Not much longer. Hang in there. You need to obviously know your property tax. What does it go for? You need to know some maintenance items. You need to know some, right? Rent versus buying, pros and cons. What is an advantage of renting? Don't say cheaper. You know it's not going to go, right? It's not going to cheaper. Why? Because utilities are included, right? You don't need a large down payment, things like that. Insurance is cheaper. Sure, you can say that. Rent is better because you don't pay the big property tax bill, right? Stuff like that. You're not responsible for maintenance, or at least major maintenance costs. Other units, here they are. Other units that you need to brush up on. We already did a little bit. Trig, just basic. I'm going to give you a triangle. You might have to use sine law or cosine law. So you need to brush up on that. Maybe you already have your study sheet and you have nothing to worry about. Does it EV stand? Ring a bell? Expected value. It's not going to have too many prizes. It's just going to be like a pretty straightforward expected value. And last but not least, PM doesn't stand for Prime Minister. It stands for precision. Precision measurement. And in particular, combined uncertainty. Go look that up. I almost wanted to say, what happened there? I almost wanted to say this. We did this before Christmas break, but no, that was the last year's group. The few was just before spring break. So these are the other units that I would expect you to have. You're okay to have a scrap piece of paper for your study sheet for the quiz, but for the test, which is next Thursday, you need the clean version, right? You need to start transferring. You could have almost the entire thing used up by now. So first page and then backside down to half. Because all we have left is statistics, right? Goldenrod, that's the color that I picked. Get my gold medal at the end, right? That's it, that's all. You've got 10 minutes to do whatever.